1, 2, 1, 2. One, two.
Hello. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I think we have to start because it's 10:05 by my time. And we'll start with an opening prayer. I don't know who is well disposed now to pray for us. Okay. Come and give him the mic. There's somebody up there. You have passed him. Now see by your left.
Good morning.
Can we rise for prayers, please?
Father, in the name of Jesus. Father, in the name of Jesus. Our Lord and our God, we thank you because you are God. We thank you for the gift of life. Father, we thank you even for bringing us here today. You were with us yesterday. Take all the glory in the name of Jesus. We are here again. Father, take preeminence in the name of Jesus. Direct the affairs for us in the name of Jesus. And we pray for those that are still coming behind. Father, quicken their steps so that they can be here early in the name of Jesus. Thank you, Jehovah. Father, Lord, at the end of the event, let us have all cause to glorify your holy name in the name of Jesus. In Jesus' name we pray. Praise the name of the Lord.
Thank you very much for that opening. The next thing is introductions. I want to restrict my introduction to association representatives. So for every association that is here or group that is here, I want them to identify the group and who is representing that group here. I am Dr. Elijah Mohammed, Registrar Pharmacists Council of Nigeria, and I welcome you all. So after the introduction, I'll make my welcome address. So I start from my extreme right. I think he's putting on two caps. It's representing the President of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria and also NAIP National Chairman. So he will introduce himself. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, professional colleagues. My name is Pharmacist Ken Honorable, and as rightly captured by our registrar, I'm the National Chairman of NAIP, Association of Industrial Pharmacists. I'm also here to represent the President of the PSN, Professor Cyril Osifo, who is unavoidably absent. Thank you very much.
Respected registrar and all other guests present here. My name is Varki Varghese. I represent Indian Pharmaceutical Manufacturers and Importers Group. Apart from that, I am the MD CEO of Yaba Pharmaceutical Limited. Thank you.
Good morning, registrar and members. My name is Dr. Okamako Kafo. I'm the director, PCN Lagos Zonal Office. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other body that is here? Go get across to him. Please, your name and the association you are representing. Thank you.
My name is Atunde Oyeniro. I represent the Society for Pharmaceuticals, Sales and Marketing of Nigeria.
Any other body? Appin, no representative of Appin. Nero Farm. Okay. Is there any person online that wants to identify him or herself?
Nairo Farm is online.
Who is representing Nairo Farm?
PNG man is online.
Please identify yourself.
Okay. My name is Femi Shoremeku. The president of Nairo Farm. I'm also the MDC of Falcon Group. Thank you.
Any other person?
Good morning, all. My name is Frank Mortimer. I am representing the chairman of PNG Man. I am the executive secretary of Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Group of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Morning.
Any other person?
Good morning, sir. I'm Pharmacist Michael, representing YPG Edo State.
Okay, you are welcome. Any other group?
My name is Mosumola Dosumu, representing ACPN Lagos State.
Thank you very much. Any other group?
Yes. My name is Mabwez Augustine, Pharmacists for Cameroon Care Limited.
What association?
Cameroon Care Limited.
Association.
Okay. What about Appin? No representative. Okay, thank you very much. You are all welcome. I am very pleased. Hello. Please, I will advise you mute yourself so that there will be no interruption in this meeting, please. I'm very pleased to welcome everyone with great pleasure to this stakeholders meeting on pharmaceutical products marketing regulations in Nigeria. For a very long time, there has not been regulation of pharmaceutical products marketing, and this has contributed to the chaotic drug distribution Nigeria is experiencing. The PCN has been receiving reports of unethical practice by pharmaceutical marketers and their representatives. Many have been dragged to council disciplinary committee and the tribunal by their companies. The PCN regulation of pharmaceutical product marketing will bring sanity to Nigerian drug distribution system. It will also promote ethical practice amongst pharmaceutical marketers, sales representatives, and allied players in the healthcare system. The regulation provides for who is pharmaceutical representative and who is a sales representative, and spells out the code of practice for each category. Each category is expected to be registered by the PCN, issued a biannual certificate. This certificate will start by January 2022, and all the pharmaceutical companies are expected to key into this. Henceforth, a person will not be permitted to act as pharmaceutical or sales representative or present himself as a pharmaceutical and sales representative on behalf of a company in the Nigerian pharmaceutical industry without an accreditation and renewal of permit by the council. I therefore call on all pharmaceutical associations, groups, individuals, companies in the pharmaceutical marketing landscape to take cognizance of the regulations, as this will be enforced by year 2022. You are all enjoined to get a copy of the regulations, read it, and abide by the code of conduct stated herein, as there is no ignorance in law. I wish you all a very successful deliberations. Thank you. And if there is any group that has not gotten the regulations, we'll be happy to send it to their WhatsApp or their email if they can send it to my phone number. Thank you, and God bless you all. So we'll go to the next item of the program, which is goodwill message from the President of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria. Mr. President, please.
Yeah, good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. The President of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, Professor Cyril Osifo, honestly appreciate what is going on in Nigeria today. He's unavoidably absent. Just last week, we concluded our first PSN NEC/retreat meeting here in Lagos. And he has been moving around, honestly, to reposition pharmacy practice, meeting a lot of stakeholders, a lot of interest groups for the benefit of pharmacy profession. If not, he would have been here today. So, pharmacy as a body is really excited, really happy with the current development today we are getting from PCN. We have quite some new regulations to tidy up what we are having in the country. Yesterday, we had the online pharmacy regulation, and today, we are having the pharmaceutical products marketing regulation. These are two regulations we believe that if they are fully implemented and given the rightful execution, pharmacy practice will be better for each and every one of us. So from the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, we're excited, it's a good development, and we encourage everybody, every stakeholder, every rep, every company, every business owner to toe in line, to cooperate with the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria to make it work, to make it a reality, because we cannot practice in an industry where there's no law and order. Discipline is the name of the game, and we want to sanitize pharmacy practice to the best in the whole world. We want pharmacy practice in Nigeria to have a look of what we are having from the Western world, and we want to be rest assured that at the end of the day, every pharmacist is doing whatever he or she is expected to do. And if you are not a pharmacist and you are practicing in the pharmaceutical industry, you actually have to cooperate and make sure that pharmacy practice works for each and every one of us. Thank you very much, as we wish you the very best of luck in the execution. God bless you all.
Yeah, I also want remarks from the MD Jawa, representing the Nigerian Association of Indian. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I recall some few years back when our present registrar took over the position as registrar. I happened to meet him. When I met him, one of the things he said, I want to certainly sanitize the marketing distribution, particularly the people involved in the marketing aspect, either a pharmacist or a non-pharmacist. They all should be regulated and brought under a controlled system, so that what we are witnessing today will not keep going indefinitely. Today what we see is every company has to mentally prepare to write off anything between 5 to 10% of their revenue because of the leakages in the system, particularly the misappropriation done by the representatives, either a pharmacist or a non-pharmacist. This is what is happening. Mentally, in your books, you should be prepared to write off 5 to 10% because of these things. And then it goes into litigation and it's endless. People disappear or run away from your money, and then they leave one organization, go to another one. There also they do it. And sometimes we have seen 2 or 3 representatives, a representative is working for 2, 3 companies at a time, getting salaries from all the 3 companies. So this has happened in many occasions. These regulation what we are going to witness is a great relief to the industry, and I appreciate the registrar for his tenacity to make sure that it is legally backed and enforced in the system. Sir, we really appreciate you on behalf of the IPMIN group for the initiative you have taken and to ensure that it is implemented. Congratulations, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. We want to hear from the representative of NairoFarm. Few minutes remarks, please.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Pharmacist Elijah Mohammed. We welcome everybody. Good morning. For NairoFarm, we also are very glad that PCN is coming up with this regulation. Just like all my colleagues have said one thing or the other about it, we are delighted that this is coming to light because there's been so many challenges with having to manage the marketers, the medical reps that we all have, the sales reps that we all have. And for us, it is important to have some sort of a procedure or regulation that will enable us to manage those processes because there's a lot of gaps in the system and it's making it more difficult for organizations to be able to recoup their investments appropriately. So for us in NairoFarm, it's a good idea to come up with this, and we are in tow with it. Where there are areas of adjustments here and there, definitely we'll make our voices heard. But in totality, we're in support of having some sort of regulation and a process to ensure that we can manage and control the process of having marketers, pharmaceutical marketers in our industry. So thank you very much, and thank you for organizing this today, Pharmacist Mohammed. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can we hear from the Executive Secretary of PMG Man, please?
My registrar and other members of the high table, I must say the importance of this document cannot be overemphasized. It's very timely. For us in PNG Man, once we always look forward to Nigeria first. And I must say this is in line with our thinking. This will help to regulate the supply chain. It helps to regulate the abuses that come with those that represent some organizations. And I think it's timely for us in PNG Man. If there are inputs to be made, we'll get back and revert back to PCN. Thank you, my registrar. Congratulations to you and your team.
Thank you very much. Representative of ACPN, please.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. On behalf of ACPN Lagos State, I wish to say very big kudos to PCN for this large great step. As community pharmacists, this development will really take us a long way. It will help us to checkmate fake and adulterated drugs. To this extent, I say very big congratulations. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the various remarks that have been made. And there is going to be 4 presentations that will be made. Thereafter, we will now come up with an interactive session where questions will be asked. However, I want to let you understand and appreciate the leadership of NAIP, who started this journey with us as far back as 2015 in the development of this document. So the various chairmen of NAIP, I want to thank you all for your input into the document. And we all know one major reason for this is that most of the sales and sales representative in the pharmaceutical landscape don't have anything to tie them down in terms of regulations. So most of them have been doing a lot of nefarious activities in the pharmaceutical landscape, most especially defrauding companies, moving from one company to the other. We defraud one today, tomorrow they go to another company, defraud the other one. And we have a lot of such cases pending in council. And we just felt it is wise for us to checkmate these activities so that we'll be able to control them and have a legal grip on them. So that if there is an individual that is messing up in a company, then we will know what to do and how to go about that. We all know what it is, the cost of funds for a company to entrust you with goods, and you sell the goods and take away the money and run away with the money is unacceptable. And by the time we finish with this, we are going to work with the various financial crime-related organizations like the ICPC, EFCC, and the Office of the Inspector General of Police, that will form the nucleus of our enforcement and discipline. So by the time we capture them and anyone that has a case to answer, after being disciplined within the ambit of the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria, we will now hand them over to the appropriate authority of the security organs of the federal government, because the federal government will no longer tolerate such activities that is going on. And we all know what it is for companies to source for funds. They don't pick the money on the streets of Lagos or anywhere. This money usually comes in form of loans, and those loans needs to be paid back with interest. For an individual to now sell products, carry the money, and use it for his personal needs without recourse to the company is unacceptable. And the federal government will no longer take this. And that is why this stakeholders meeting is here for us to discuss, review the documents, and then get your inputs and put in place the machineries to start implementing the guidelines come January 2022 by the grace of God. So in course of this event, there's going to be an overview of the pharmaceutical product marketing regulations that will be taken by Dr. Amina Umar, Deputy Director Deputy Director in my office, Inspection and Monitoring / Quality Assurance Department. 2, there's going to be another topic will be private sector perspective on the pharmaceutical product marketing regulations. It's going to be taken by Pharmacist Ken Onwegu, who is representing the President of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria and also the current national chairman of NAIP. Then the third topic will be legal perspective on the pharmaceutical products marketing regulations. It's going to be taken by Barrister Lawan Abana, who is the head of the legal units of the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria. And then the last will be presentation by Registration and License Department, going to be taken by Pharmacist Emmanuel Adagazu, who is in the Department of Registration and Licensing, that will show how we display how the registration process will go come January 2022. So on that note, I will want to call on Dr. Amina Umar to present the overview of the pharmaceutical product marketing regulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Registrar. The Registrar, sir, our esteemed stakeholders, my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'll be presenting to you the Pharmaceutical Product Marketing Regulation 2021, and the outline of the presentation is going to be according to the different parts of the regulation. The regulation has 6 parts. The first part is objectives, then followed by accreditation and certification of pharmaceutical representatives, accreditation and certification of sales representatives, code of conduct for pharmaceutical and sales representatives in Nigeria, printed materials, advertisement and samples, and miscellaneous. The objectives of the regulation are as follows: to regulate and control the practice of pharmaceutical marketing and sales, to contribute to ensuring access to pharmaceutical products, to promote ethical practice amongst pharmaceutical marketers, sales representatives, and allied players in the healthcare system, to provide minimum academic professional standards and requirements for pharmaceutical representatives, marketers, sales representatives, allied players in the pharmaceutical industry, including the licensing process, procedure, and code of practice. Who is a pharmaceutical representative? A pharmaceutical representative shall be persons or organizations involved in taking orders on behalf of their companies, providing scientific information about drugs, and their license to convey drugs as samples in the course of their duties. The minimum qualifications for a pharmaceutical representative is a recognized degree in pharmacy, and the person shall be registered with the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria as a pharmaceutical representative. At the commencement of this regulation, a pharmaceutical representative in the field shall be accredited and certified by the Council, subject to the following conditions. A pharmaceutical representative with a field experience of 4 years or more shall be evaluated by the Council and shall undergo training as prescribed by the Council. Application for accreditation as a pharmaceutical representative. A person who desires to be accredited as such shall obtain, complete, and submit an application form addressed to the Registrar, Pharmacists Council of Nigeria, attaching the evidence of payment of the prescribed fees. Accreditation shall be valid for a period to be specified by the Council. I think the period has been specified now is 2 years. A register of accredited pharmaceutical representatives shall be kept and maintained by the Registrar. Renewal of accreditation shall be in accordance with the procedure prescribed by the Council. A revocation of an accreditation, the accreditation of pharmaceutical representatives shall be revoked by the Council on grounds of gross misconduct, malpractice, or unethical practices. A register of pharmaceutical representatives whose accreditation have been revoked shall be kept by the Registrar. A pharmaceutical representative shall sign a code of practice at the point of accreditation before certification. Accreditation and certification of a sales representative. A sales representative shall be persons or organizations accredited by the Council through an approved institution involved in taking orders of non-ethical medicines, provide information and convey non-ethical medicines as samples in the course of their duties. A sales representative may, upon accreditation and upon the payment of a prescribed fee, be issued a permit with unique identifier by the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria, which shall be renewed on annual basis on or before 31st of January every year. The minimum qualification shall be a degree in pharmacy awarded by a recognized university, a degree in any of the biological or chemical sciences, a diploma in pharmaceutical marketing as may be prescribed by the Council, or any other qualification the Council may seem satisfactory from time to time. At the commencement of this guideline, sales representatives in the field shall be accredited and certified by the Council subject to the following conditions. A sales representative who has been in the field for less than 4 years shall undergo an appropriate training as prescribed by the Council prior to accreditation and certification. A sales representative with a field experience of 4 years or more shall be evaluated by the Council and shall undergo periodic trainings as may be prescribed by the Council. Application for accreditation as a sales representative. A person who desires to be accredited as a sales representative shall obtain, complete, and submit an application form to the Registrar attaching the evidence of payment of prescribed fees. Accreditation shall be valid for a period of 2 years. A register of accredited sales representatives shall be kept and maintained by the Registrar. An accredited sales representative shall apply to the registrar for renewal of his accreditation in accordance with the procedure prescribed by the council. The accreditation of a sales representative shall be revoked by the council on grounds of misconduct, malpractice, or unethical practices. A list of sales representatives whose accreditations have been revoked shall be kept by the registrar. A sales representative shall sign a code of conduct at the point of accreditation before certification. Code of conduct for pharmaceutical and sales representatives in Nigeria. An accredited pharmaceutical and sales representative shall, in practice, encourage the appropriate use of pharmaceutical products by presenting them objectively without exaggerating their properties. The relationship of the pharmaceutical industry with the healthcare professionals shall be mutual enough to encourage healthcare delivery. The interactions between pharmaceutical and sales representatives, on the other hand, and the health professionals shall focus on informing healthcare professionals about products, providing scientific and educational information, as well as supporting pharmaceutical research and education. A salesperson shall not offer or receive any grant, scholarship, subsidy, support, consultation, contracts, educational or practice-related items in exchange for prescribing, recommending, purchasing, supplying, or administration of pharmaceutical products. A person shall not offer or provide any benefits to a healthcare professional in a manner or condition that will have an inappropriate influence on the healthcare professional's prescribing practices. Information of pharmaceutical products and materials shall not be misleading or exaggerated. It should be fair, truthful, ethical, and side effects should be stated. Clinical assessment, post-marketing surveillance, and post-authorization studies shall not be sales promotion in disguise. Pharmaceutical and sales representatives shall conduct their marketing activities in line with the regulations, guidelines issued by the council. A person shall not act as a pharmaceutical or sales representative or present himself as such on behalf of a company in the Nigerian pharmaceutical industry without an accreditation and renewal of permit by the council. Pharmaceutical and sales representatives shall exercise due diligence and skill in the course of their duties, act fairly and honestly in the course of their duties, not knowingly mislead or deceive any party in negotiation or transaction, not knowingly induce or attempt to induce a customer in order to make a sales, not encourage in any unconscionable conduct, not to engage in any unconscionable conduct or in unethical practices. Commission and benefits and other benefits. A pharmaceutical or sales representative shall not accept or demand any commission from any person other than his or her employer, irrespective of any service performed or to be performed, and where such a service entitles him to payment of commission. Confidentiality. A pharmaceutical or sales representative shall not at any time use or disclose any confidential information obtained while acting on behalf of his or her employer, except where the information is required by law. Printed materials, advertisement, and samples. Printed information on pharmaceutical materials shall be written and translated in the English language. The printed information on pharmaceutical materials shall be legible and include the following: name of the product, active ingredients in the product, likely remedies and side effects of the product, manufacturer and expiry date, approval codes provided by approving authorities, name and address of the manufacturer, name and address of the manufacturer's representative, any other vital information necessary for the application of the product. Advertisement. Pharmaceutical representative or sales shall not engage in the advertisement of any pharmaceutical product or material unless the product or material has been approved by the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control. Sales of products. Product samples of pharmaceutical or ethical products shall be supplied to healthcare professionals and not to be sold or misused. Samples of ethical products shall not be offered to the general public or patient. Samples of ethical products shall be marketed in an appropriate manner. Sponsorship. Any sponsorship provided to an individual healthcare professional must not be conditional upon obligation to prescribe, recommend, or promote any pharmaceutical ethical product. Payment of reasonable fees and reimbursement of out-of-pocket expenses, including travel and accommodation costs, may be provided to healthcare professionals who are providing genuine services as resource persons or facilitators on the basis of a written contract with the manufacturer or pharmaceutical company at any event. Sanctions and penalties. Any pharmaceutical company that violates any of the provisions of these regulations or secure its pharmaceutical or sales representatives to do so commits an offense and shall on conviction be liable to a fine of not less than 1 million naira. Any pharmaceutical or sales representative who violates any of the provision of this regulation through any act or omission that is not in tandem with his employer's policy commits an offense and shall on conviction be liable to a fine of not less than 1 million naira. The penalties for non-compliance with the provisions of this regulation shall be in addition to other penalties that may be prescribed in the Act, as the PCN Act. The Council may impose administrative penalties or sanctions on any pharmaceutical representative, sales representatives, or pharmaceutical entity who violates any of the provisions of this regulation. Late renewal of accreditation shall attract additional 50% of prescribed fees. The Council may issue additional rules, directions, or guidelines on any aspect of these regulations which shall be of general application or specific to a pharmaceutical or sales representative. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amina Umar, for that presentation. You may not need to run away because time for questions, you make yourself available for questions. Please, we want us all to jot down our questions so that we'll ask them during the interactive section, or you can post it on your page so that we can copy it out and then give it to the appropriate persons for their comments. So I would like to call on Pharmacist Ken Onwegu for his presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, professional colleagues, fellows of the society. Of course, it is no longer news where we are today, but I just want to recap by saying that Association of Industrial Pharmacists of Nigeria started this journey as far back as 2013, following some very unpleasant experiences business owners were subjected to. So it is not that some people have said, what is going on now? It's a journey we started about 2013 because we want to sanitize the system. And to God be the glory that today that outcome is what we are seeing today. Let me just go through history. How did we get here? The first stakeholders meeting actually took place in 2013, and the private sector has always clamored for a repository of all medical reps and sales reps in the country. Failed attempts, of course, were recorded by some of these interest groups, like Neuropharm, APIN, PMG Man, ITMIN. We came together and said that, look, a radical problem we are told requires a surgical excision. There must be a solution to this quagmire. There must be a way to move the Nigerian pharma industry moving the way it is expected to move. Not only all this business, SCPN and Association of Hospital Pharmacists, most of them honestly also complain when there was like reckless employment of anybody. Any company goes and employ whoever they like. So some of them were also not happy when you see some non-professional coming to talk to them about core ethical products. So some of them raised this objection that they want pharmacists to be strictly in charge of marketing of PO, prescription-only medicines. We have argued then that Nigeria as a country will have shortage of pharmacists, and it will twist employers who will be at the mercy of employees due to regulation. And also, we believe at that time that marketing of POM drugs in other parts of the world like Asia, Europe, are not actually 100% handled by pharmacists. We will have non-pharmacists also taking charge of those responsibilities. Now, as I said, how did we get there? What actually prompted some of these regulations? We have reps stealing from company A and moving to company B till today. And most of them are still walking on the streets, pretending as if nothing happened. We have cases of reps conniving with banks, opening a dummy account, and diverting company money until maybe the company will wake up one day only to realize that about 50 or 100 million naira have been diverted through that illegal means. We also will have reps, or some cases, breaking into company warehouses and cutting away products worth millions of naira. We have reps, during their point of interview, providing fake residential addresses, only for you to discover, when the harm has been done, that the address you have in your record book is nothing but fake, does not even exist in the first place. We have unending cases of litigation in courts, orchestrated by some of these individuals who are actually capitalizing on the dragging nature of our judicial system, knowing fully well that before you can complete a judicial process, it may take you about 4, 5, even 10 years or beyond. Edmund Burke said that the only thing that makes it necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. Today, PCN, in collaboration with NAIF and major stakeholders, have decided to do something. We also have a documented case of a rep who worked in 3 companies. My colleague here captured that. A rep working in 3 companies at the same time with 3 cars parked in different locations. An office is located in Lagos, 2 offices in Ibadan, and different days for different meetings. How can we allow this mess to continue? I was privileged to attend PCN judicial sitting in Abuja about 2 months ago. There is this case of a pharmacist, a young in Ibadan, going away with about 35 million naira worth of product, money, with fake checks and all the rest of it. And that pharmacist is today still working in pharmaceutical companies. They are condoning her. Some of this mess cannot be allowed to continue. There's a case that even my company is also involved. For your information, I'm also a CEO. I'm the co-founder of Tricare Pharma Nigeria Limited. And we have been in this business for over 30 years. So most of the things I'm talking here is from documented experience. A pharmacist in Abuja bolted to South Africa till today. I think that day the judicial we used phone, we track him on phone, and it was on speaker, and the judicial panel was issuing instruction. But up to today, he had not even showed up. 3 companies were involved, almost about 21 million naira. PCN is still investigating that today. The list goes on and on. As I said, a radical problem, we are told, requires a surgical excision. There is virtually no company in Nigeria today without one ugly incident or the other. Today we are talking of about federal medical institutions owing pharma companies billions of money. The same thing, honestly, is happening to our own employee staff. If you look at amount of money some very ridiculous reps are owing the industry, it's very, very huge. We can even put a figure about 1 billion naira there. And most of them are still working today in one company or the other. How can we continue this way? The private sector, I must say, is highly excited with the current development. We are totally in support. Not only in support, it is our brainchild, it is our baby. We are in support, full in support. The idea of bringing all pharmaceutical medical personnel, non-pharmacists and pharmacists, under one central control or clearinghouse is a welcome development. We are 100% in support. However, there are some parts of the Gazette we have also looked at, and we beg our registrar to invoke there is a clause in the Gazette that empowers PCN to moderate certain areas. I think the PCN has that power to look into that, because we also noted that the Gazette did not in any way, I'm talking from opinion from the private sector, please, business owners, most of them were not actually, so there was almost no even mention in this Gazette. And the question is, what role are they supposed to play when you in a company and you notice your rep? There should be a channel of communication or a route to follow when you encounter some of this. And also, our Indian friends here from the north, we had our Zoom meeting 2 days ago to put together our various views. And there were quite many in the north, marketing one product or the other. We want to believe, too, that as far as they operate under the federal government of Nigerian land, they are subjected to this same Gazette and must be captured in everything we are discussing here today. Then on the issue of PO drugs, honestly, we want to beg the PCN again to sort of allow Nigeria to fully mature to this level. We do not have the requisite number of pharmacists that you can now say that by January, every company must comply fully. And most of the pharmacists, especially the young ones, are not too enthusiastic about pharmaceutical marketing job anymore. Probably because of the mess we are telling you about. But I want to believe that, honestly, by the time the industry is highly regulated, you will see a whole lot of interest. Most of them now will be clamoring to be medical ready because it has been fully sanitized. So what happens? We want to believe that this recertification and certification to be initiated by PCN by January, followed by various degrees of training on communication skills and product knowledge will be enough to bring those non-pharmacists to the level to go out there and give the right information to our audience. While that is going on, then I can tell you, maybe in the next couple of years, Nigeria can be said to, yes, we have developed to that level. So we are asking for a period of at least 10-year moratorium from PCN to allow us to reach to that level. In other words, what we are trying to say that every aspect of the Gazette, we are fully in support that it should take up by January. But the aspect that says that only pharmacists should handle POM drugs, we are begging, based on industry view, that PCN should please activate that Article 20 on page B3316 of the Gazette that empowers the Pharmacists Council to alter to some degree to give us this 10-year moratorium so that Nigeria can mature to that level of regulation. We welcome the idea once again of bringing non-pharmacists working with pharmaceutical companies under the control of PCN. This singular regulation will go a long way in restoring sanity and orderliness, discipline and accountability. We also cherish the idea of offering training and recertification every year or 2 years as the case may be. It will promote the dissemination of the right information and ensure that the patients get the right value from the drugs we are positioning to them. What happens as far as implementation in 2022? What do we do? This is what we are suggesting. As soon as the registration starts, payment of the statutory levy starts, we are recommending that once a company comes to pay the mandatory fees, PCN should mandate that company to submit without any further delay the list of all pharmaceutical and non-medical reps in their workplace. And this should go through the Association of Industrial Pharmacists. Because we will have, this is our industry member, because we're also going to keep a tab and be able to feed PCN with regular information as at when due. And we want to, for the avoidance of that, remind people that NAIP registration is by both corporate and individual status. Corporate, they takes care of the superintendent pharmacies. But every pharmacist working in the industry must register to be a NAIP member. And with this donor, it is very, very compulsory. Luckily, honestly, we are just charging a token fee that will not impose any or create any unnecessary hole in the pocket of the pharmacist. Only 3,000 naira, you are already captured as an industrial pharmacist. Every rep should, therefore, with effect of this law, register as a NAIP member come this January 2022. Non-pharmacists should also, of course, should be registered because we have a lot of documentation and necessary capture to do and monitoring. We are going to create another separate file for them, and this will also be monitored and given to. NAIP will assist PCN in compiling the list and updating as time goes on. And we are suggesting that there be a committee, investigative or maybe implementation committee between NAIP that will go around, honestly, and monitor the full implementation of these gazettes. Just like we have like something like PIC, we can also have something here, NAIP, to ensure that, honestly, if you are a rep and we see you in the market, you have every right to demand for your accreditation from PCN to know that you are a bona fide member, you are qualified to be promoting pharmaceutical products in Nigeria. If we see you in loot promoting one product or the other, the council or the body has every right to intercept you and demand for your accreditation from PCN. That's the only way we can restore sanity. That's the only way we can say, yes, we are effectively implementing this very laudable regulation. If this is done, ladies and gentlemen, it is our candid view, an unbiased view, that we are going to see some good level of dedication and commitment to the job of pharmaceutical marketing in Nigeria. A lot of steady job will be created. Remuneration of reps will improve because when you create value for what they are seeing, people, business owners, once business owners start getting value for employment, honestly, definitely, they will automatically review and pay very, very well. Pharmaceutical companies will also get value for their investments. Most importantly, rogues in the system will be totally eliminated. This will promote the circulation of right drug information to the society. Foreign companies will show more interest in investing in Nigeria because right now many of them believe that honestly, if you invest in Nigeria here, even employment of a very bad person can ruin you or drive you out of the country within the next 2 or 3 years. By the time we have done this, you will see a lot of foreign direct investment, FDI, flowing in. I think it is on this ground that I say thank you for listening and believing that honestly everything will start working well from January 2022. God bless you all.
Thank you very much for that submission. I hope we are taking notes and questions are already flying to us. I will now call on Pharmacist Emmanuel Adagazu to make his presentation. Adagazu. You can take that seat. You can read from the... Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, the registrar, members of the high table, distinguished pharmacists present in the hall and online. I'm representing my director from Registration and Licensing Department. So I will tell you just briefly all the necessary documents you need to register as a pharmaceutical representative and as a sales rep, and then give you, just highlight the forms we have and the way the permit will look like for next year, God's willing. So we already know the definition as captured in the Gazette. A pharmaceutical representative simply means a pharmacist employed to carry out full complement of marketing of ethical and non-ethical drugs in a company. While that of sales representative could be a pharmacist or a non-pharmacist, graduate of any biological or chemical science that is involved in the marketing of non-ethical product. And that is the emphasis, non-ethical product. And healthcare professional is any person trained to work in any field of physical or mental health, a person who provides preventive, curative, promotional, or rehabilitative healthcare services in a systematic way to a people. So I decided to further define ethical product It means products that are only available with written instruction from health care professional and are not for public display. OTC, we all know, are over-the-counter drugs that can be gotten without a written instruction from a professional. The next now is a pharmaceutical representative, the eligibility. What does it take to be a pharmaceutical representative? What are the minimum conditions you need? One, he must have a recognized degree in pharmacy, current annual license to practice as a pharmacist. That is very important. Then have a registration with the Pharmacists Council. Okay, registration with the Pharmacists Council as a pharmaceutical representative. So this is going to be the new one now for next year. Before now, you just have a current license to practice as a pharmacist, but going further, you need to have a permit to practice as a pharmaceutical representative. So, following the Gazette, it is stated no back. It is required that on the commencement of this program, those who are on the field with experience of over 4 years or more will be evaluated by council and will undergo periodic training. So that will be done next year. Next. So now, for sales representative, we'll look at the difference. A pharmacist can be a sales representative, but a non-pharmacist cannot be a pharmaceutical representative. So the minimum requirement for that is a degree awarded by a recognized university, a degree in pharmacy, a degree in any of the biological or chemical sciences, a diploma in pharmaceutical marketing as may be prescribed by the council, or any other qualification council may deem satisfactory from time to time. Now, like I said earlier, you know the difference here. You notice a pharmacist can be in both, but the non-pharmacist can only be a sales representative. So, application and certification. How do you get certified? The application is going to be done through a form, which will be collected and submitted, addressed to the Registrar Pharmacists Council of Nigeria, then with an evidence of payment. The certificate, like Registrar mentioned in his opening speech, the permit will be valid for 2 years, renewable on expiration, with the payment of the prescribed fee. Now I think it's about 10,000 naira for the 2 years. Now, okay. So when that is done, this is the form. The form has been designed and is ready. And ready for dispatch, ready for use. This is the form for sales representative. It's simple. The information needed are straightforward. You'll find here also, like I said too, there is no provision for full registration number or current annual license to practice. While the form for the pharmaceutical representative, you have to capture, okay, I'm sure you want to download that from the WhatsApp. That has provision for your full registration as well as evidence of current license to practice as a pharmacist. So those are the difference. And then let me show you the permit. Can we have the permit? How it will look like. Just show the permit. It's a 2-year, it's a biannual permit for pharmaceutical representative. Biannual. Okay, there's a disconnect. Okay, that's about the second to the last slide. So the first permit will read pharmaceutical representative, while the second will permit. The second is sales representative biannual permit. So it is boldly written. So you can't have one for the two, except that we know maybe a pharmacist can carry all the products, while a non-pharmacist can only carry the non-ethical. I think with that, that concludes my presentation. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for that presentation. And now come to the last presentation titled Legal Perspectives on the Pharmaceutical Products Marketing Regulations. We are sorry some matters will be repeated, but it's for emphasis because they are all working with the same document, but from different perspectives. Can we project the, you don't have it? You must have it. You don't have a copy of it? No, the presentation from the legal department. So while they are putting that on, and I will ask the National Chairman, NAIP, to look into the system and see which questions are relevant to you for you to answer. You go to the chat. No, all the 56 charts, they are not for you. It's just to while away the time before. There's a question or a comment made. It said a moratorium is not needed. What is needed is to give a timeline to comply. I think that's the best approach to go to that. Yes, council will consider your 10 years, but we're going to give you a timeline to comply. And we are not going to be draconic in our actions. All what we want to do is to sanitize the system so that there will be a win-win situation. The major target we are after now is the defraud of companies by these individuals. Is taking a wild dimension that has attracted the federal government attention and is killing the pharmaceutical industry gradually. That is the first major task that is before all of us, so that there will be sanity, and then encourage foreign investors to come into the country. Because the level of corruption in that area in terms of medical rep defrauding companies is becoming alarming, and foreign investors are afraid to come into the country. So that is a very strong point for this, our gathering. I want to assure you that Council is not going to sleep over that. We are going to deal with it headlong. There was an instance where an individual ran away to the United States of America thinking all is well with him. By the time they asked for letter of good standing in Council, after diligent review of his file, we saw that he was owing a company. So we had to tell his representative to tell him to come and clear his debt. And with that, we were able to collect the money back for the company. So individuals should not put us through that process any longer. So we need to deal with them at the grassroots. Prevention is better than cure. So I believe we will all join hands together to ensure there is sanity. So we have cases of non-pharmacists advertising controlled drugs in WhatsApp and other social media. Bashola, you were not with us yesterday. That has been dealt with, and we are looking out for. So please, we also should be very mindful on the platform we are working on, because anything that goes on that WhatsApp and you decide to forward it, you are also an accomplished. And you will go in for it. We can still recall what our colleague who was doing internship and started posting something concerning the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and he was tracked. So there are devices that can track everybody. So please, we have to be very mindful of the way and manner we carry out activities on WhatsApp and other social media. Anything that's against the law will be tracked. If it is your company, we'll track it. Yesterday, the representative of the Interpol was here, and he explained a lot of things to us. So please, I don't want to, I have to beg you now, because I will not tolerate any begging, because we have already given them the go-ahead. So if there's any issue, we just hand it over to them. If they track you, track your company, then you have to go and sort yourself out with them. So please, this unusual advert in WhatsApp and other social media concerning controlled drugs and prescription drugs should be looked into. There's a question for you, Ken. They say, what is wrong with a pharmacist being a rep in more than one company? How do we handle companies that underpay the pharmacists? Issuing of license to importers who can barely pay pharmacists. How do we handle it? Ken.
Okay, that's a very funny and at the same time interesting question. So many things are wrong with a rep working for. One, there is what we call conflict of interest. I don't think a rep can equitably serve two pharmaceutical companies at the same time, because most companies, when they employ you, I don't know about other companies anyway, but for us, when I give you employment, it's on full-time basis. And there is a contract agreement that defines every relationship we have, that this job is purely on what? Permanent. But if you get a company that says, okay, you work for 2 days in a week, in other words, you can use the other 5 days to do whatever you like. That's what the company does. But I want to believe that this job of pharmaceutical sales and marketing is short. You even require more than 24 hours to do the job effectively well. So I don't know where that my friend is going to. The other aspect of companies not fulfilling their own obligations, that one is also a contractual agreement. It's a legal something. If you pick up an employment with a company and that company is not fulfilling their own part of the game, there are processes you are supposed to take. Honestly, the law is there. We shouldn't, because some companies are not actually paying the right salary or the rest of them, then you go and they say two wrongs do not make a right. That's one. And let us also bear in mind that honestly, we are working now on having what I call harmonious salary remuneration for pharmaceutical. It's almost ready. With this, now I think we are going to activate that this thing and make sure that every company complies. But contract with a company is on an individual basis, and by the time you enter, they are already telling you how much they are going to pay you, and you are signing that you agree to the full terms and conditions of employment. So let us remove that one. If there is any disagreement, you should follow the due process, and Nigeria has a due process for that.
Thank you. We are accrediting more schools of pharmacy and producing more pharmacists, so getting pharmacists will not be a problem to fill the space reserved exclusively for them. As I said, we are not going to be draconic in our actions and activities. We must face realities. And the reality on the ground will determine how we tackle issues. So it's not going to be hide and seek game. It's going to be open to all. I will continue to dialogue and see how a win-win situation will always prevail. So, as I said, in 10 years we'll look at it, but there will be a period of compliance that will enable a win-win situation to prevail on what we have at hand. Sir, does PCN have plans to help companies whose ex-reps abscond with monies before this new regulation came into existence? Fine, yes. You will write a petition to us. As I said, with these regulations, we are going to set up some various groups. There's a group of PCN and other MDAs, other security agency on one hand. Then there's going to be a group of PCN and these stakeholders on the other hand. So for those who is feeling that a lot of individuals have cheated them, please write a petition to us. If they are pharmacists, we'll call them to order through the machineries of the council. If they are non-pharmacists, we invite the EFCC or ICPC or whatever. And if you have information on them, whether they are working somewhere or whatever it is, you let us know. The EFCC or ICPC or even the police, whatever means we are going to use to track them, we'll definitely get them to order. What I'm telling you and re-emphasizing is that the federal government is unhappy with this corruption in that aspect of pharmaceutical business. Is causing a lot of de-investment and is driving away foreign investors one way or the other. Federal government is not going to fold its hands on this. We are definitely going to go after those individuals who are creating problems in the pharmaceutical landscape through defrauding of companies in course of their duties. Is there really anything wrong with a rep picking up a freelance marketing on only OTC, while a company in a particular company, the main company does not have products that the other company is selling? Very, very wrong. Please be focused in life and stop long throat. Go and do your work. And I believe that no company will fold its hand if you are meeting targets, if you are surpassing your target. I know companies that reward their reps. So please go and face your business. In short, this is something will help us to catch a lot of register and go. So all of you doing register and go, frustrating the young ones from getting job, we will come after you. Please, let's be focused in life, because the moment you start working in more than one place, you are definitely going to be divided, and a lot of things will come into play, and you end up losing, because you won't be able to even meet the targets of both companies, and then they will definitely flush you out. Please mute everybody. There are distractions from Dorcas and Yala. Dorcas, so please mute yourself, or else we'll tell MTN to shut you down. There are a lot of young pharmacists in need of jobs. The problem is poor remunerations for pharmacists by the pharma company.
This issue of poor remuneration, honestly, is subject to a lot of argument. Let me give a practical illustration. Most companies I know, if you're a medical rep, they normally start you from the range of 120 to 150,000 naira with a very good vehicle for you to go and do your job. But if you go to most of these, unfortunately, they don't see that way. If you look at most of the graduates operating in the bank, I can tell you without any fear of contradiction, most of them does not earn up to 100,000 naira. The pharma industry will give you a fish and teach you how to catch a fish. And that's the best thing, honestly. Because remember, the remuneration is not just one remuneration. There are a series of incentives lying in place. A good rep, a hardworking rep, an efficient and effective rep can earn even additional 100% of his salary at the end of the month through incentives. In my own company today, honestly, if you have a very good incentive, you can earn 50, 100, 150,000 naira extra. Remember, you have a very good functional car to run around, do your job very, very well without sweating much. So when you talk of poor remuneration, if a company is giving me today 350,000 naira and I'm in the office sitting no other income, I think I would prefer a car, a company that will give me 200,000 naira with a car, with additional incentive that can place my salary above even 500,000 naira at the end of the day. Which one is better? So honestly, I don't buy this idea of, I'm not saying it's not going to be better. It can be better. There's no doubt about it. By the time we are doing what we are supposed to do, I see a situation where pharmacists can pay medical reps 300,000 naira, 400,000 naira with good functional car, of course, with ability also to earn additional incentives. So honestly, I do not subscribe to that notion that pharmaceutical companies are paying poorly. We are not.
We'll do a probe. We'll set up a team to verify your claims. And if it is found wanting, you will face the panel. So on the lighter note, please let's encourage these young ones. I remember those days, even while you are doing your internship or even your final year in the university, companies are already coming for you with brand new cars and other things. So please let's see how we can encourage these young ones to make more inputs. There's one for you. How about medical doctors that are medical representatives? Will they also stop detailing ethical drugs since they are non-pharmacists?
As far as I'm concerned, if you go through the Gazette, you will capture the proper definition of who is qualified to a medical or be a sales rep. And I do not think medical doctors are excluded. I think they have the relevant qualification. If any medical doctor showed interest in becoming a medical, he's allowed. But what we are trying to say is that you must go through the entire Gazette regulation. You must pass through. Objection sustained.
Objection sustained. Against your chairman. You want to vote him out? Put your things down. Come close to the high table. No, they want to capture you. They want to capture and record you.
All right. All right. All protocols duly observed. My name is Theophilus Emeka Ademoha, pharmacist. My objection is on the fact that a medical doctor can be a pharmaceutical rep. The proviso is that you must be a B-Pharm holder to be a pharmaceutical rep. And if a medical doctor wants to come into that field, you should go and study pharmacy. There's actually somebody who just finished studying pharmacy in Nanda Square University with a distinction. After studying medicine, he went to study pharmacy. So that's allowed. Okay, so that's why I raised the objection. Thank you.
Objection of upheld or is it sustained? If it's sustained, say aye. And if sustained, if it's not sustained, say aye. Council will look into it. You see, the first step is for us to capture those that are already in existence. And as I said earlier, there's going to be a trainee phase. And that training phase, we also define a lot of things. The law is, man is not made for the law, the law is made for the man. So as things go by, we are definitely going to do the needful. So all these things we will fine tune and get it right. Our sales reps, that is non-detailing reps, allowed to convey ethical products to customers.
Of course, before now, that's one of the things we are, the position we are trying to champion here, that based on the situation we found ourselves, let's give a timeline for full implementation. So pending when we read there, I think they should be allowed to help the pharmaceutical companies, provided they have gone through all the necessary steps in employment and the company has accepted them and given them offer letter and they also sign into this thing we are doing. Even for now, I think most of them are also doing it. So that's our position until we reach that level, sir.
Another question for you. Are sales and marketing managers part of this accreditation?
Of course, the full complement of the pharmaceutical sales team, the sales, marketing manager, product managers, all of them, because we cannot be regulating the people you are without you passing through the same regulation. So the entire marketing structure or sales structure from marketing manager, national sales manager, product manager, all of them are part of these regulations. From sales directors, yes.
Are we agreeing that sales directors will be Sales directors? So they direct money. I think your position also answers this question. It said there are various functions within a pharmaceutical company: sales, brand management, medical, market access, general management, etc. Will all these functions be required to register as pharmaceutical representatives? We have all agreed? Okay. Pertaining to farm and sales rep, I think there should be a reduction in the cost of permit of 10,000 for farm rep. I think that 10,000 might be too much for farm rep since we are still paying for license and sorts. 10,000 divided by 2, divided by 12. How much is it per month? 10,000 divided by 2, 5,000. 5,000 divided by 12. 400 naira per month. So what does that translate to sales? I don't think there is anything wrong with that. Okay, can we call on the legal head of legal, Pharmacy Council of Nigeria, come and make 5 minutes presentation? Mr. Lawan. Thank you.
The Registrar, Pharmacists Council of Nigeria, members of the High Table, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I feel honored to present the legal perspectives in respect of the issue, the regulations we are reviewing. My presentation is very short. In light of the subjects at hand, first of all, we've heard about the definition of who is a pharmaceutical sales rep and also medical sales rep. The differences are really like a pharmacy and a PMS. The pharmaceutical sales rep, obviously, somebody who has as a duty much higher dealing with ethical products and drug information. That presupposes that the person who is pharmaceutical sales rep is somebody who is specially trained and who must be a pharmacist. Though the border is extended to include those who have been on field for 4 years. I think that is understandable, possibly because after being in the field for that long, it is reasonable that we assume such a person is knowledgeable already. In case of medical sales rep, I think it was an issue that we are edging out pharmacists from being sales reps. I think that is not correct. We've stated minimum qualification. But the fact is that why would you, for example, operate PMS when you can operate pharmacy? I think we need to understand it from that perspective. The farm sales rep gives information to healthcare providers and that presupposes that he's knowledgeable in that field, which knowledge cannot easily be acquired by somebody who is not a pharmacist. We have seen about the qualifications of the two. We also look at the regulation in respect of storage medium before, during, transportation, or after. You see, this needs to be taken into account because pharmacy products are not ordinary products, that they are regulated in the process of transit, and that includes in between the manufacturer or importer to the end user to which such products will be presented. I think the previous speakers spoke on the needs to regulate pharmaceutical sales reps or medical sales reps or both. We understand from the data we have from the council that there have been a lot of issues between employers and those who are employed in that regard. It has been a thorn in our flesh. It has been a recurring sad occurrence, which we are really out to fight it. And the best way to fight it is to ensure that this person, this group of individuals who undertake this duty are properly identified and the rules for the playing of the games are properly drawn and properly disseminated, because normally you don't hold someone responsible unless there are rules against which you gauge the person's conduct. We know that every employer has its rules of engagement. Those who employ farm reps and medical sales rep also, not an exception. The rules are there, obviously, contractual obligations and criminal provisions and the rest. But we believe that because of the peculiar nature of the duties performed by this group of persons, we felt the need to do these rules and that persons' behavior will properly be regulated, and that there should be ethics that will guide their conduct, against whose conduct we shall determine its propriety. That led to the need to have them accredited and given the rules for them to obey. In relation to particular topical issue, let me make comment like that. We've been having problem of individuals who bolt away with the property or the funds in their custody by employers. I mean, this group of persons, whether pharmaceutical sales rep or medical sales rep, we have been having recurring cases of complaint against them. I think we need to make this clear that when someone commits criminal offense of whether it is extortion, whether it is fraud by way of converting company property or funds, it has two consequences that flow from this kind of attitude or conduct. One is through process of dealing with the person as form of gross misconduct. But that is limited to pharmacists, because when you're dealing with someone for professional misconduct, that person has to have rules of conduct. And the old rules are limited to pharmacists. But with the expansion of the rules under this regulation, it shall also capture every other person engaged in the field of handling drugs. And it is good enough because if you are venturing into that field, you shall also be ready to be regulated by the rules according to that sector. There's a decision by the Supreme Court that if you submit to an organization, that means you are also assumed to have submitted to the rules of that organization. If you choose to be part of it, then you have surrendered and you have opened yourself to be accountable for the conduct demanded of persons in that field. So that applies to this as well, so that by the time we accredit you, whether you're a pharmacist or not, the rules are there that will guide you. This is one aspect. The second aspect is this. When you commit fraud, I think you understand fraud. That is, you are converting property, dishonestly converting property in goods. And it may not make sense to someone who is not a lawyer. Property in goods means ownership of that property. So if you're converting it dishonestly to yourself, that is fraudulent. Without the person's consent, is fraudulent. The difference between fraud and theft is the property in case of fraud is already in your possession. It is entrusted in you. Or you come by it in course of your duty as a course of your duty due to contract, due to the fiduciary relationship between you and your employer. So the essence is that if you commit fraud, besides being ethical, besides the question of ethics, there's also criminal aspect to it. So in case of crime, if it is being treated as one, there can be reports, complaints can be lodged to the normal prosecuting agency, whether it is police or whichever. And the person can be investigated and prosecuted. And I wish to draw distinction between when you are taking steps for handling complaints as misconduct through the council and when you lodge criminal complaint to the police for the purpose of prosecution. Obviously, when the complaint is lodged with the police, they have the necessary power to arrest, investigate, arraign, and then prosecute. That presupposes that the normal full complement of criminal process is kick-started and the person may be arrested or is likely to be invited and will be subjected to the process of investigation, bail process, arraignment, etc. But when we as council are made to handle issue of complaints, we don't, and it is not expected that we arrest the person. Please, I want you to understand that the process of council in instilling discipline in this regard is not standard criminal procedure. So we cannot arrest. We don't have the power to arrest. If you kickstart, you have two options. If you want immediate arrest and prosecution, of course that goes through the police. But there are two options. If a person is investigated, prosecuted, and convicted, we can use the certificate of conviction for purpose of misconduct. We initiate the process of misconduct against the person, and the certificate of conviction is absolute proof as to the reason and the facts that that person is convicted. Will record of conviction, a person wouldn't have been admitted to university, wouldn't have been allowed and registered as a pharmacist. That means that even if you have been admitted, you had your B-Pharm, you are licensed as a pharmacist, that will be a good basis, it's obvious basis, because it's a conclusive proof that you are not fit and proper person to be or to remain as a pharmacist, and for that reason, your license will be withdrawn following due process. So when you go through the police, you can understand what will happen. When you come also through the council for purpose of disciplinary reasons, investigation, by investigating panel of the council and then tribunal, understand that this is what will happen. So please, do not feel discouraged that when council is in the process of investigating someone, he is walking on the street. Of course, we don't have the power to prevent him from walking on the street, but the end result is coming. There was an instance which I may wish to cite, that the person had an pending issue with the council. So he went somewhere and then got admitted into an institution abroad. He then, the institution sent requesting for certificate of good standing with the council. So our response is this, that we sent to him asking for his response to serious allegations of impropriety, serious allegations of gross professional misconduct, and he ignored it. So we know the background information against him, and we replied that we cannot give information about his good standing with the council. In fact, he had no current license against the year on which he wants to be cleared. So our information is that he is not even cleared this year. So we cut it short. So sometimes you may have that misgiving that you're not tied down, that you're not obliged, because the council is not a police. Doesn't have the prosecuting power to arrest and keep you in custody. I think you are wrong. Somebody is wrong in thinking that line, along that line. I believe that this license you acquired, you dreamed to acquire, and you eventually acquired it, is worthy to be protected. I think besides your own life, I don't believe that there's any other interest that is worthy of protecting at higher level than your certificate and your status as a pharmacist. I envy mine. I think you should envy yours as well. So the choice to be of good character is obviously the best choice you can make. If you have issue with your employer, please, I suggest you sort out. If you believe that your employer has some obligations against you, that there are some issues that you do not agree with as to how your employer treated you as a farm rep or whichever similar capacity, why don't you go to court and challenge him and enforce your rights? As a civilized society, that is a better way to go about it than bolting, than giving excuses. And when you know you're not right, I advise that you sit on the table with your employer. If you have sincerity of purpose, sit on the table with your employer and make proposal as to how you can defray expenses or outstanding amounts against you. Your employer is a business person. He's most unlikely be given to wranglings and dragging with an employee. So that would be a better option than to create excuses which wouldn't take you any place. Then on the issue of prosecution, I think that should be the last resort we wish to have. But there are instances where we make repeated effort in creating opportunities for those who commit misconduct, gross misconduct. Our entreaties are being treated with levity, with indifference, with some sort of attitude which is unbecoming. So I think eventually, though, the composure of the registrar is that a sinner be given the chance but he should not sin anymore. I think there's limit to that because it presupposes that you have to acknowledge that you are a sinner. Number two, you have to also be ready that you will not sin anymore in the future. I think that opportunity should not be abused by those who are given to this kind of attitude. So when we are compelled, we'll have the last resort, that is prosecuting such a person. And that people should understand that don't run away, because we now live in a global village, and that the regulatory bodies are easily meeting at global level. That information can easily be shared between the council and any other similar regulatory body where you feel you will run to after committing some acts of impropriety. I think we need to correct that misunderstanding or misinformation or misconception. When you do what is improper in Nigeria, go to South Africa, go to Ghana, Canada, UK, US, or any other place. It will follow you until it is cleared. So sort it out first before even leaving Nigeria. Get letter of good standing. Don't write from somewhere else. And I don't expect go dump your diet certificate and be doing something else. Because most of the relationship between the offending medical sales rep or pharmaceutical sales reps are arising out of employment. And that means the start of the relationship was actually cordial. It must have gotten bad along the way. And that if it is bad along the way and you are responsible, sort it out yourself. And if it is as a result of the attitude of your employer, take him to court. That's the better way to solve the problem. I think with that, I would wish to say that that's the end of the presentation I have, and thanks a lot for listening and for your time.
Thank you very much for the presentation, Mr. Abana. And in course of his presentation, I went through the question section. There are some issues that were raised. One, somebody said no provision on welfare of pharmaceutical representatives. I believe that is a contract between the representative and the company. Two, many private business owners are very harsh to their employees. This prompts the infidelity in the sector. I don't believe that. The issue of infidelity is an issue of integrity. If somebody is harsh to you and the conditions are no longer favorable, you throw off. Throw off and then go and get where conditions will be favorable. You can't say because it's harsh to you and then you start the infidelity activities. It's unacceptable. Are there parts of the regulations that protects the interests of the farmer and sales representatives? Over to you.
Can you repeat the question?
The question says, are there parts of the regulations that protects the interests of the farm or sales representatives? I don't know what interest he's talking about. The issue of interest is about wages and welfare, and that boils down to the contractual relationship you have with your company. Council is not to come into that, to start going into the contractual relationship. If you feel there is something wrong, well, you can write us as a rep for our information, and then we may have to call the management and see what we can do. But however, those are labor matters. Labor matters is not before Pharmacy Council of Nigeria. We're only regulating the pharmacy practice. And if the labor matter is becoming too much, you can now go to the Ministry of Labor and see how things can be sorted out. But however, if you have challenges and you want us to intervene, why not? We have had instances of calling employer and employee together. But most of the time, by the time you listen to the employee, you know that there's a lot of things that has gone under the bridge. So let's see how we can have some mutual respect for ourselves as regards a contractual relationship, so that there will be a win-win situation. No matter what the company is doing to you, it's not a passport for you to steal their money and go and be building houses, buying cars, and marrying more wives, while the banks are on the company. That is unacceptable. Thank you.
Okay, we have some other questions here. One of them is from Ikafe Iruedo, who asks, I think there is a need to define the functions of a pharmacist rep or a sales rep. Of course, that also falls under the purview of the company. Every company, if I need to be directed otherwise, every company has their different functions of the day. It is work spelled out. Even during the training, you'll be giving some training on ideal functions of a pharmaceutical sales rep. It's part of the training we offer from time to time. So that's not the function of this gazette to enumerate. Anthony Nwachuku is asking, I want to get more clarity on the need for all the representatives to go through and be regulated by. I think we're also developing this. I want to believe that between us and PCN, there will be a proper guideline, a proper direction on what to do as from January. After this, most of this information will be circulated through the various social media. Christian is saying no topic bordering on the welfare of the farm, which had been captured. Uduak SCN say, are there parts of the regulation that protect the interests of the... I think our registrar has also captured this. And then the other one is, will the sales reps license be tied to a company for the 2 years or open license to work for any company? Once you get the accreditation license from PCN, of course, that makes it possible for you to work for at least 2 years. It does not tie any rep to any performance. If you resign the way you are supposed to resign, you can use the license permits you to work in any company at least for the 2 years. After 2 years, wherever you are, you then go for renewal and not the rest of them. Another person is asking, that's the one Ajuluchuku. I know a chemical engineer who is a sales rep. Where do we group him? That's also maybe a question. If you go through the gazette, there is no provision for engineers to be medical or sales rep. It was not clearly stated. I think if the gazette is anything to go by, I think that they are not qualified to be a pharmaceutical or a medical rep. Such people, when we see them, we report them and we take the necessary action. But let me hear from the PCN.
I think there are a lot of bridges that are begging for attention, a lot of vehicles that are begging for attention. The engineers should please go to engineering field and do the needful, even the repair of carpentry work in our various homes and other things. So everybody wants to sell drug in this country. Everybody. And we need to caution it. And that is why the training of pharmacists is taking a new dimension from product-focused training to patient-centered training. Because most people don't even understand what drugs are. What they are after is the money they will make out of it. And that has led to a lot of people having access to medicines, and the abuse and misuse of medicine is going up every day. So by the time we refocus our attention to patient-centered activities to ensure that the patient gets the best out of medicines, people will now get to understand and appreciate what medicines are, and it should not be a field for Dick and Harry to come in. Engineers should go to engineering fields. And if you're a surveyor, go and survey. If you're a mechanical engineer, go and do some mechanical works. Those areas are being led for people who are not trained in that field. They should go there and help us address issues. There's a comment here where a pharmaceutical company is engaged in the business of vaccines as a business unit. If the company recruits medical doctors to handle vaccines, how do we now categorize these medical doctors, vaccine reps? One thing we should be very clear about is that a medical doctor is not trained as a pharmacist. And that's why you see a lot of people, everybody wants to come and do pharmacist's job. Everybody. Why? Because they believe that's where money is. our bill could not go very far because the veterinary doctors are now calling themselves veterinary pharmaceutical doctors or whatever name they call themselves. I say even despite that a high court has made a pronouncement on that case that veterinary medicine is different from pharmacy. Go and face your veterinary medical practice and let pharmacists do their job. So even these individuals encouraging doctors to come and rep, what are they repping on? We need more doctors in the medical field. We need more doctors to treat our patients. And then we need more space for pharmacists that are graduating. We should encourage pharmacists to take up these jobs and let them do the needful. And I believe we should not be carried away because I don't see what the medical doctor is really doing there. If it is going to be maybe research and or whatever, or after sales impact of those medicines on the individuals, or they are using them for research purposes, I don't object to that. But when you are talking about product marketing and sales, I don't see what the doctor wants to do that the pharmacists cannot do. And we have a lot of pharmacists outside there. Please create room for pharmacists to take their responsible positions in your companies. And that's, to me, is what I can give over there. If my comment is that I don't see what doctors want to do as a vaccine reps, which pharmacists cannot. Because if you encroach into their medical practice now, they'll start shouting. Even the PharmD we are talking about, which does not even encroach into their practice, they are shouting. Then now you are saying a doctor should come and take up a sales representative. What is he going to sell? Is he going to put his stethoscope on his neck and start looking at the BP of the system to be able to sell? So let's be more pragmatic. Let us be more focused. Let's be more realistic. Allow the barber to barb your hair and allow the carpenter to go and saw the wood. If you think the carpenter can saw wood very well, clean and everything, then you put your head for him to saw. Then a trial will convince you. So we should be very focused in this country. We should be more organized in this country. And let us do things properly and call a spade a spade. So the first instance is to register these individuals. And then within the next 2 years, we believe the training processes will be put in place. And all the various associations will definitely be represented. And I want to plead with NAIP to spearhead that, get your associations together, and then let me have the list of their representative, and then I can set up the implementation committee with the PCN and your association and the relevant bodies, so that we'll come up with the strategic plan for the training, so that we'll have a common training to now qualify individuals to be renewed after 2 years. So from there, we may be able to sort out certain things. Most of it's something we've discussed now, who to be where and who not to be where, timeline or no timeline, so that there will be a win-win situation. We don't want to overburden the system. And then the issue of the permit that is going to be given, the permit will bear the name of the individual and the company. So invariably, the company is responsible for that licensure. So it may be Mr. XYZ of Ken Pharmaceuticals. That is going to be the address, because it's the company we are going to hold responsible when the chips are down. So it's not going to be Mr. XYZ, number 3, Oshodi Road, Oshodi. No. It's going to be Mr. XYZ of Ken Pharmaceuticals Limited. And those are the two entities that are going to be held responsible for any breach of the law. So I need the cooperation of everyone to see the implementation of this. So as I said, two bodies will be set up, PCN with the stakeholders, and then PCN with the security organizations, so that when the issues are trashed out, we will now know where the individual belongs to. But I pray that we'll also be putting safe valves on this issue of money being stolen from companies. As I said earlier, the federal government is not happy about it, as it's causing the investment in the pharmaceutical sector. So if there's no other thing, okay, I've just been informed that most of these questions, except one, have been coming from the visual participants. If there's any question here, can anyone please? I'm going to give you numbers. Livy, I know you must ask question, so don't worry. Number 1, IPC, IPU, IPC, ICP. Eh? IPC. 2, a young lady. 3, 4, 5. These rules. Levy 6, 7, 8. None on the elders forum. Okay. Can you give 8 of them, please?
Thank you. Thank you very much, my registrar, members of the High Table, the Naib Chairman. My name is Lawrence Ekato, Chairman, ACPN Lagos. I have a bit of a concern, and the concern stems from looking at the Gazette, Part 2, Accreditation and Certification of Pharmaceutical Representatives. Section 3, subsection 1, A and B, says the qualification of a pharmaceutical representative shall include A recognized degree in pharmacy, and B, registration with the council as a pharmaceutical representative. Once you are a pharmacist, the first thing is to have a license to practice. And that license to practice states very clearly what you can or cannot do. And that includes being a pharmaceutical rep. Now, asking a pharmacist that has paid for that license, paid for it, to pay again to be a pharmaceutical representative, for me, it's like double jeopardy. And I don't think it is right. If I put myself in the shoes of a young pharmacist, I don't think I will accept to do that. My take on all this over the years has been that all pharmacists that are under the employ of any pharmaceutical company should, and me talking now as a community pharmacist, because we do employ pharmacists as well, should have a way of paying, or if they decide to allow the pharmacists to pay for their licenses and obtain that license, keep it, the original, and give them the photocopy. And then the pharmaceutical company should send the list of all the pharmacists in their employ to the Pharmacists Council, and then obtain the permit on behalf of their employee pharmacists and give it to them to work with. I don't think it would be proper to burden our young colleagues with this. That is my take. Secondly, I'm quite excited that this is coming up, because we know that, as our registrar has said, a lot of the issues about R&G stems from the fact that a lot of pharmacists working in companies not known by us in ACPN, they come in and or go to non-pharmacists, especially wholesale and distributors that are owned by non-pharmacists, register for them and go. So with this, we believe that once all the names of pharmacists in employ under companies are known by council, once such a pharmacist brings a form as a superintendent pharmacist in a wholesale, even retail or wherever, then the council now has the tools to determine whether or not such a person is eligible to be a superintendent pharmacist in this other aspect. So we are quite happy with this because it will also benefit us, because both as an ACPN member and also an inspector, we have the issues of trying to verify, and these people will swear heaven and earth, even sign affidavits that they own the business, when we know very clearly that it's not their own. So this is quite acceptable to us, also with the fact that it's also helping to curb the issue of fraud in the system. Then lastly, okay, let me just leave it at that for now. Thank you.
The registrar, PCN, distinguished members of the high table, my chairman, Naib, ladies and gentlemen, I have a number of recommendations, comments, and questions. So first is the eligibility for medical and sales reps. We've seen the two conditions, but I thought there could be a third one: evidence of employment with a pharmaceutical company registered in Nigeria. So if you have, is it license or the medical rep or so? So we need to know where he works to be able to know that he's properly employed. Otherwise, somebody can just approach a council and get that permit when he doesn't work for any company. Or he's working for a company, but he decides to, he decides not to mention that company. I saw a fee of 10,000, but I thought that referred to renewal. So I don't know if there is any for registration for 2022. Then training of pharmacists and sales reps, as has been mentioned, I want to recommend that it also becomes part of the MCPD points, that the reps and the pharmacists need to get in order to renew their licenses the next year. For comments, I really want to support the idea of having the full structure of sales and marketing team in companies to be captured. Why I say so is that what we are talking about, sales and marketing of products, are not just about the transaction of delivering drugs and getting paid for them. All the whole gamut of developing the product information leaflet insert, about the marketing information that goes out there to be registered by NAFDAC, which is handled by product managers and marketing managers, may also contravene this regulation. So everybody involved in that process should be part of it. I also want to propose, for the sake of what Pharmacist Lawrence had also touched on, that the companies should pay for this registration, not the medical reps or those in the company. Why do I say so? It's just what I advocate. It's because the registration protects the companies, as it were, from this fraud that we've been talking about. And what the fraud in the system is much more than 10,000, okay? So I think it will be in the best interest of companies to do that, particularly when the names of these reps will be tied to the companies. I think that handles that. That is the permit for the companies to send these reps to market for them, not for them to be pharmacists. So I think that could be the point of clarity in the point that Pharmacist Kato has mentioned. Now, I think the register has handled very well the issue of doctors being pharmaceutical reps. Doctors are not pharmacists, so there is no room for that. There are many other roles that doctors can play in a pharmaceutical company, like in clinical trials and all of that. So please, let's keep this the way it is. For those who have mentioned the welfare of medical reps,
I think he's taking this meeting out of context. This meeting is not to talk about welfare of medical reps. It's to talk about regulation of pharmaceutical products. So I would like to appeal to all those who talked about welfare to key into the NAIP welfare package for pharmacists, of which medical reps are part of, and which the chairman of NAIP is now at least making clear that every medical rep should register as a member of NAIP. The question I have for the registrar is, when a rep leaves a company, is there a process whereby the rep can now change this permit to read the name of the new company where he is going, especially when the permit has not expired? Because that will also help in all that we have said about amicable resolution between employer and employee, so that when a rep is leaving, he's given a clean bill of health, and then the council can now give him a permit in the name of the next company he's going to. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Okay. Good afternoon, the members of the panel. Yeah. My registrar, the double prophet, may I stand on existing protocols for the rest? Sincere apologies, I came in late, but I sought clarification from some of the people I was sitting with. The issue I want to raise has to do with non-pharmacist medical reps. You know, some of these people, we see a lot in the industry. Somebody was talking about chemical
Sorry, please, can we know who is speaking?
My name is Nike Abdulaziz.
No, this marks.
When you said young girl, I was just laughing and she was laughing with me.
You are not older than my mother now.
All right, so this is Nike Abdulaziz. So, as I was saying, some of these people actually believe that they already belong to a professional group. There's the biochemists have a group. The chemists in Nigeria, they actually have their own association. They do their conferences and all that and all that. And so if they're coming into marketing of pharmaceuticals, it's like they're coming into our space. Is the council doing anything to have an to liaise with those other organizations that these people belong to? That is one. My second question is about the certificates they get after training. You said it will bear their name and bear the name of the company. The permit, yes, that they get for 2 years, you said. But you also mentioned earlier, before that, that it doesn't tie them to the company. They can move to another company. So is a system going to be put in place to track this? Because if on the system, I'm a biochemist, I'm marketing for Ranbaxy, but 6 months down the line, I've moved on to another, maybe Afrab or something. Your system is still tying me to Ranbaxy. And I'm not a pharmacist. There's no other way you can trace me. So is there a tracking system in place? And the final one is on the pharmacist rep. I do believe that the knowledge that will be imparted on them during training, as well as the ethics that they are supposed to imbibe, it's important. But can we as a body think of incorporating this into the basic training of pharmacists from pharmacy school? I know we've mentioned this over and over and over, that the entrepreneurial training we get in school isn't sufficient, and it is showing in the number of pharmacies that fail within 3 to 5 years of starting up. So we had been advocating for increase in entrepreneurship. Now, all these ethics of marketing and all that, I was thinking we should look at a way of incorporating it into the training in school, because if I graduate as a pharmacist today, I don't take any other training to go into the hospital as a hospital pharmacist. I don't take any other training to go back to academia as an academic pharmacist. You understand? Even to open my pharmacy as a community pharmacist, I don't do any other training. So these people who are interested in marketing, there's a feeling, the feeling will be that they are not sufficiently trained for that aspect. And I want to say, now that we are doing Farm D, we should be thinking of incorporating all those lapses that we have noticed, that we are talking about now, into the basic training at school, so that nobody feels disadvantaged, that I can't work in this aspect until I do another training again. Are you saying my B-Farm certificate isn't enough for me to market drugs? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. All protocols duly observed. Please, my question is, for sales consultants who are on contract, just maybe 6 months or 3 months, are they supposed to go through the accreditation before they'll be able to work as sales consultants? Then secondly, I have the same question as per permit, bearing the name of the person and then the name of the company the person is marketing for, because that will actually limit the person from going to another place to work. Then the third one is, I don't know if we can have access to the Gazette so that we can read through and see what it's all about. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All protocol duly observed. My own concern here, I'm Chima, representing Saga from Saga Pharmaceuticals. I want to ask, we are talking about marketing of products here. Also, is there any MOU between PCN and NIM? Because NIM says they are the authorized regulators of all marketing activities in Nigeria, products and services, of which pharmaceutical products marketing includes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Okwemi is the name, Bao Generics. I want to just find out, yesterday I was here for the stakeholders meeting that talked about online pharmacy. And one of the things that was brought up was what happens in other climes, talked of Ghana, Uganda, and other places, the various things as per that. And we're trying to look at how we can, what will play out in Nigeria. Now, I want to say, as touching this pharmaceutical marketing, have we looked outside Nigeria? Are there best practices we can adopt? What are the things that also obtains in other places? These things didn't originate here. We learned it from other people. So can we look at what's happening in some other countries, in Africa, beyond Africa, in the US, in Canada, or in some other places, and see where can we compare notes and see how best, so that at the end of the day, we're also operating on an international level. We're not just being boxed into a corner on the way we actually look at it. That's what I would like to ask, if you have considered that, and if you have not, is it possible to look at it, what obtains elsewhere, and how can we get the best out of it? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Pharmacist Ifeanyi. I work with Counselor, and it's more like I instigated this stakeholders meeting because people were attacking me that I was attacking the Gazette. But I want you guys to just look at the points I want to make, and so that, I read history a lot, and if you read the history of the Greek-Spartan War, a particular Athenian general, before the war, told his people, are we really ready to fight the Spartans? And because the Athenians had won several battles before, they felt they were ready. And they went into that battle, and that was how ancient Athens, as we knew it, was destroyed. Now, my first point, which I've been raising and crying about consistently, is I run a recruitment firm apart from my pharmacy practice. And I recruit for a lot of naive members and a lot of employers in the pharma space who import. I've looked at the people who they can afford to employ. And I've asked myself, and I've asked a lot of pharmacist employers, how many of you, let's say for instance, an average pharmaceutical company has 10 reps. How many of you can comfortably afford to employ 10 pharmacists based on your current salary structure? Late last year, we did a survey of the salary scale most companies pay across the pharmaceutical industry. And I posted a report, a part of it yesterday online. The average pharmacist-owned company doesn't pay anybody more than 80%, 80,000 per month. Pharmacist-owned. Now, are we now saying that? So, 2 days ago, or 3 days ago, I was recruiting for a company, Visco Pharmaceuticals, pharmacist-owned. We had about 3 biochemists and 2 pharmacists. The biochemist accepted the offer. The pharmacist said that, yes, I might be okay with the salary, but before I start, you must give me a car, you must my accommodation. Let's ask ourselves, if we start this law, how many pharmaceutical companies owned by pharmacists can afford to pay these pharmacists across board? Secondly, is in terms of information dissemination. We need to understand that the major job of a pharmaceutical rep is information dissemination. Because pharmaceutical marketing and pharmaceutical sales are 2 different things. Somehow we are lumping them together. And I know that there are companies who have separated it. They have their sales rep and they have their marketing team. Are you now saying that if it's about information dissemination, that for me, IBM, for instance, has developed Watson. And Watson can, any form of information you want, Watson can deploy it to you. Amazon, 90% of their warehouses are being run by robots. Are you now saying that this information can be disseminated by somebody who, yes, probably they might need the training, but why must certain information be disseminated by somebody? That is second. Sorry, let me get my point. Like somebody here said also, yesterday I was here. Yesterday I was here, and the model for the online pharmacy was well articulated. Surveys were done across different climes. I expected the same thing to actually be done in this particular space. Is there any particular reason why something like this is not being done? Number 3 is encroachment on business model. Now, a lot of pharmacists running pharmaceutical companies have different business models. I work with almost of the companies here, I recruit for a lot of them. And I see different business models. One of the business models is that our reps, we might not be paying you so much, but we're giving you samples. But it's not for us to pay you, ask you what you do with the samples. Because these companies know that some of these reps, from the samples, they sell the samples. Some of them also know that the samples is form of, that we don't give you sample, but we can give you a discount. That we're supposed to, okay, use this discount. For instance, I know a company owned by a pharmacist. What they say is that our product is 300. You can sell at 350. The 50 naira is for you to do your marketing run. Are we now saying that if a company decides based on its own business model, not whether we like it or not, but based on their own business model, are we now saying that a rep, a company's staff cannot do what whatever they want based on the company's business model. The next one is the point that somebody has also raised about National Institute of Marketers of Nigeria. Have we tried to find out what are their stake? Because I see a clash. Secondly, too, one of my staff is a lawyer. I've asked her to look at this law in comparison to Nigerian labor law. And there are huge areas of conflict, which I think PCN also needs to look into. And the next one is, currently, even for the retail pharmacies, like I said yesterday, we still have more than 50 vacancies for pharmacists. And we can't even find to fill. And we're now saying that, as at now, that every company should employ pharmacists to fill up this space. I remember I spoke with my Ogaye sometime last year. I said, is there a way that we can even get pharmacists from the north and move them to the south? That most of companies are ready to provide accommodation. And his response was that even to find them in the north is a challenge. So are we taking this into consideration? And finally, most of these medical... See, I'm just trying to lay up points that, like I've said from day one, the law actually favors what I'm doing because it means I'll make more money from it. But I also want us to look at it long-term and not look at it like the Athenians did. And long-term, the thing is backfiring. Most of these medical reps will be talking to doctors. Have we tried to find out what if a doctor says, okay, since you people have said that it's only pharmacists that can come to talk to me about what I do, what if NMA now comes up to say, okay, we don't want any pharmacists to come and talk to us in our hospitals about drugs? No, what I'm just saying, there's always the issue of a devil advocate, which most people don't want to look at. But I'm trying to play the role of the devil advocate in this situation so that we look at it, and when issues like this start to come up, let's know that it has been taken up. Thank you. Those are the areas.
Next. No. Okay, they've asked the question you're supposed to ask. Are you sure? I hope they didn't intimidate you because you are YPG. I know you wanted to ask something. Can you please give it to her to ask something? Yes. After that, we'll call on Professor Larry Bale to ask his questions or comments.
Good afternoon, the registrar, esteemed members of the high table, ladies and gentlemen. My question was centered. Abimbola Odumbaku from Medite Pharmacy Limited. My question was centered on the permit bearing the name of the rep and the company, and it has been asked. So I believe that the members of the high table will do justice to the question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Can we hear from Professor Larry Bale, please?
The registrar, and good morning to everybody. I appreciate the opportunity to add my voice to what you are doing today. It's a great joy to me because today's event had started with the Nigerian Association of Industrial Pharmacists, or marketers, basically. We used to have the Pharmaceutical Marketing Club dating back to 1984. And it's a great joy that this is taking place today. The need for us to have pharmaceutical rep must be called pharmaceutical reps, must be maintained. In 1984, Pfizer changed from medical representative to pharmaceutical rep, based on agreement we have with other members of the industry. But some of them could not change it because the phrase medical rep was more popular then. But we have to stick to pharmaceutical rep, and I think it's better to stick to pharmaceutical rep because people are dealing with pharmaceuticals. Secondly, I believe also that only pharmacists should become pharmaceutical representative. Any other international pharmacists, they can play some role in the value chain, but they should not be referred to as pharmaceutical reps. The desire for many to be seen as pharmacists is very strong, who are not pharmacists. And allowing them to use the phrase pharmaceutical reps without them being pharmacists,
Hello, Prof. We are not hearing you.
Drug marketing is as if we
Recording in progress.
Technical knowledge about medicine. Majority of medical doctors do not know the difference between plasma half-life and tissue half-life. Pharmacists understand the difference. Pharmacists had course to study pharmacology for 4 to 5 full years under the new curriculum for 6 years. For 6 years. Medicine, you study pharmacology with us for only 2 years. So we're not discussing the same thing. And there are other arms of pharmacy beyond pharmacology. Pharmchem, pharmaceutics, pharmacognition, and many others that we have to learn in order to have an in-depth knowledge of how that drug works. It is the education we provide to the doctor that they use to take decisions on prescription. It can therefore not be right for any other person outside pharmacists to be a pharmaceutical rep. Then we also do know beyond reasonable doubt. So beyond reasonable doubt, because we are a profession, we cannot allow non-professionals to be there. Let me quickly address the issue of National Institute of Marketing. There are pharmacists who are in marketing, who are in sales and marketing. The way I handled mine was that as a pharmacist in the pharma industry, who was also in marketing, I joined the Nigerian Institute of Marketing. And in order to be qualified, even though I'm a pharmacist, but I needed to get certification to ensure that I could also, because I'm a pharmacist by technical background, but I'm also a marketer. So anybody who is a marketer should also try to get their certification for marketing. What the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria is providing is to say these people are qualified to market pharmaceuticals or to be in the pharmaceutical industry in the marketing department. The practice of marketing within that pharmaceutical department should also require them to go to the Institute of Marketing. So there would definitely be a need for a handshake between both of them. But that doesn't prevent a sales rep from trying to register with a National Institute of Marketing in Nigeria. I would like to say that the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step, and the best time to have planted a tree we want to stay under will have been 20, 25 years ago. And the next best time, since we didn't do it 20, 25 years ago, is now. We must commend the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria, the executive of the Nigeria Association of Industrial Pharmacists, for putting together this. This is a very wonderful concept, and I believe it will sanitize the industry in terms of what we have seen, in terms of reps, managers, taking resources of companies away. It also protects the owners of the business. I must confess that every industry has some unethical practices, and I will take exception. I would not agree with the last speaker concerning the fact that reps, because you give them samples, you assume that those samples are going to be sold. And therefore, it should form part and parcel of their, it should be considered as part and parcel of their unofficial benefits. No, we are pharmacists, we are ethical. Of course, there are some who sell their samples, but it is not supposed to be used for that. They are supposed to use the samples to provide opportunities for medical doctors to try to use the drug, to prescribe the drug, and to become used to the habitual form of prescribing the medicine. So giving them drugs does not imply that they are selling it. If some do sell the drugs, it doesn't mean everybody sells the drugs. And the main fact that some few Nigerians are Yahoo boys, they are 419s, doesn't make the 200 million Nigerians to be Yahoo. So we should therefore please withdraw that statement. It should not be discussed in an occasion like this as assuming that they are selling it. No, it's not part of their compensation. The jota pass should give to them, the biro should give to them, the other promotional materials should give to them, like souvenirs. They don't sell them. They're supposed to be used to generate demand, and they are being used for that. I must thank once again the organizers, PCN, and the Nigerian Association of Industrial Pharmacists Executives for putting this together. I believe that the journey, which we wanted to start many years ago, now about 37 years ago, which some of us bought into fully, some did not. I believe with this support and legal support from PCN, we go a long way. And I believe those who believe that they can steal the company dry and find alternatives in other locations will no longer be the order of the day. As a matter of policy, I buy fully into every pharmacist who work in any organization, that be in the industry, in the community, should list the names of all their pharmacists and the registration, the license, the registration numbers, and send them to the zonal offices or at least to the state offices, so that if anybody is found to be working for multiple companies, they should be sanctioned immediately. And this kind of arrangement that we are putting together, whereby they also become licensed by Pharmacy Council to become a farm rep, and they can be followed up, they can be seen wherever they are going. We go a long way to reduce any form of unethical practices among few of the reps. But do not assume that because few of the reps have been found wanting, that every rep is guilty. No, they are not. But this is a good step we have started. I want to thank you, sir, the registrar, as well as my chair, for the opportunity. God bless you, sir.
Very much. Professor Larry Bale is the BOT chairman of NAIP. Thank you for that beautiful contribution. However, I would like to call on Dr. Dan Oroensi. We are giving you 1.5 minutes to make your comments or question. Thank you very much. I think we need to do some training for pharmacists when they are using using Zoom. I don't know which of the arm will help us with that. Is it PSN or YPG will help us to train the elders on how to use Zoom, so that you know when to. Hello, my doctor. We are waiting for you. Hello. We are not hearing you. They say you should use chat. Okay. Femi, we will call you. Okay. Mr. Femi Shoremeku, can we hear you? Are you doing me?
Recording in progress.
Then we'll call you later. Can we hear Mr. Femi Shoremeku, please?
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for this opportunity, everyone. It's really, really a good session that we're having today because the interesting part of it is that the industry had been pushing for this, just like Ken, the night chairman, said many, many years ago. All the associations that you called today had actually met, but that was something missing that didn't make it happen so quickly, like it's happening now, and that is the role PCN is now playing. It occurs, and it's right to say that the role PCN is playing now is what is going to make this thing work. Because, just like you said, there was a group called Pipan, and a lot of ideas came, even from abroad, using some of the ideas from the UK to put it together, but it did not materialize. So I just want to commend Naib and also commend PCN for taking it further. We would have loved probably a bit more of discussion before it was finalized. But again, now that it's finalized, I believe there'll be room for NAIROFAM to still play some role in some areas for further discussion to make sure that once this law, so to say, is finally deployed, there will be minimal pushback from all the different stakeholders. Now, for us, or for me, as MD CEO of Biofem Group, not as naive, because I wear two caps today, I would say, yes, this is a very, very good one, but there are a few areas. My own concern, or my own suggestion rather, would be, it would be wonderful if PCN can automate the process as best as possible. It is the best and easiest way that will make this possible. The companies should be responsible along with the matter to register and get that certification. But the automation will help in making sure that as they move from company to company, they can quickly get their certificates with the new company. So automation will solve most of these issues that we're talking about and will make it very easy for implementation, for training, etc., etc. So while I know it might take some time, I think I would want to ask PCN to give themselves a big challenge that by first quarter of 2022, the automation should be fully deployed. Because I know it might not be that easy with all the things that have been discussed today to be able to automate it in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks for people to start registering in the new year. My senior colleague, Professor Bale, has said it all. And I told the line of some of the things they have said, seriously. And I believe that there's a lot more that we can all contribute to this to make it as robust as possible. So let me just use the floor here. I just wanted to make that comment on the automation because you have not mentioned it. Probably it's in the works. Probably you just felt like it is a thing that must be done by PCN, knowing fully well that they are moving along that line. Because I know that our prophet is really, really an IT person in the way he's been going about doing things over the past few years. So I yield the floor. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you very much, dear friend. Please, Miss, is it pharmacist? Pharmacist Obashola Akanji. We'll give you 1 minute, please, because we need to round up now. Today is Friday. Some of our colleagues need to go to the mosque. So we have to put their interest into consideration. So 1 minute, please. Controller, 1 minute. Once it's 1 minute, you let.
Thank you very much, sir. Pharmacist Obashara Akoji, I'm the YPG coordinator, Young Pharmacist Group coordinator for Edo State. And I must say that this step taken by PCN is a laudable step and we must sustain it because we are talking about sanitizing the pharmaceutical sector. And if we must sanitize it, I believe this is the rate limiting step that we have taken today. I will quickly say one or two things because I have just a few minutes. And I must say thank you very much to Prof. Lere Bale. He has said a lot and has actually helped to correct some misconceptions that have been passed. Pharmaceutical marketing must be seen as a professional duty that can only be handled by a pharmacist. And so in such a way that we have to take the responsibility. And as we have said, I am now going to quickly talk about the moratorium. Please, if we are saying we have a gazette and we are still putting a 10-year moratorium, that means that we are not really serious about it. And it will portray us as people that are not serious. Yes, let's give a timeline. Well, we cannot say that people that have been employed should be sacked, but we can say that, okay, from this particular year, any other person to be employed must actually be a pharmacist to actually deal with ethicals. I actually said it. I have it in my screenshots. We have cases of non-pharmacists that are displaying controlled drugs like pentazocine on WhatsApp status, and I've never seen a pharmacist do that. So it is very clear that most of the issues that we are having with chaotic drug distribution, with people having access to controlled drugs, that is foiling the insecurity and many things that we are having in the country, and even with the president is interested in, because the president had to set up the Presidential Advisory Committee on Drug Abuse. All of these things can actually be stemmed if we limit the rate at which non-professionals are actually handling drugs, especially the ethical drugs. So I believe that this is a good step in the right direction, and it must be sustained. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Dr. Dan Oruense, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Registrar. I guess you can hear me.
Yes, can hear you clearly, but there's a sound by your left side. Go ahead.
Okay. Right. I really want to thank the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria for these gazettes. And I think that this is the best time. And the best time to start is now. I do not even think that we need to give moratorium for anything. We should start immediately. Whatever hurdles we meet on the road, we need to think of how we're going to overcome them. That's my take on that. Because moratorium will mean that a lot of people will go and bring new junctions and new problems, which we are going to be solving within that moratorium period. Let us start now. Now, I also want the issue of licensure or specific licensure to be extended not only to the pharmaceutical marketers or the people in the industry, it should also be extended to those of us in the hospital, because we're also part of the problem. What is good for the goose should be good for the gander. And I think we should need to look in that direction. Then, of course, I also heard you say that I'm not going to be draconian. Yes, I agree with that. And I would really want to applaud you for not being draconian. But I think that if we really have to move, then we must make a few examples of a few people to drive the point home that it is no longer business as usual. If a man is dissatisfied with his employment, the honorable thing to do will be to resign, and resign honorably and look for another thing to do, not to take his employer's money or his employer's goods and fly or flee to another country. That should no longer be pardonable, and people should no longer do that. I think we need to make a few examples of a few people. And then, of course, the issue of marketing models. I think marketing models should fit into our regulations, not our regulations fitting into the marketing models of whatever company or whichever company that we're talking about. What we need to do is for these people to fit their own marketing models into our regulations. And that is the way to go. And we must promote ethical practice all the time. And if we do not do that, we might just be sliding back to where we are coming from. I also want to commend Naib on the issue of trying to get a salary harmonization of their salary structure within the marketing space or the industry. That will help a lot in stemming the tide of attrition, people going out or people coming in, because everybody will know that, yes, what obtains in company A might be what is going to obtain in company B. And that will also help in people making careers out of it. But by and large, I want to say that these gazettes, they have been, they are here now, and they are here to protect the interests of pharmacists and the interests of the public. And we must understand that employment is the right of everybody, particularly pharmacists. And if certain aspects of pharmaceutical marketing have been specifically reserved for pharmacists, so be it. We need pharmacists who will be employed and gainfully employed at that. So in every respect, I support what has happened today, and I support the gazettes. If there are any hurdles, we will all sit down together at the round table to begin to solve them, and then go forward from there and make a better pharmaceutical practice for all Nigerians and for everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity that you have given me to make my contributions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I think you want to make some comments.
Sir, my question is, some foreign companies employ expatriate managers to market some of their niche products. Can they also get registered under this regulation? Thank you.
Okay, let's try as much as possible to provide answers to the question raised on the floor here. We are going to try our possible best, but where we miss your particular question, please do not be offended. Let me start with the last speaker who said some foreign company that employ foreign expatriates. You know, I mentioned it even, I captured it in my presentation. Of course, the answer is yes. As far as you are marketing and selling pharmaceutical products in Nigeria, this gazette captures you. You must do everything provided by the law. There won't be any excuse to anybody, whether you are from Europe or Asia or from Nigeria. So the same law applies to everybody. So, and those companies does not exist in obscurity. We know them. And we are going to do everything possible as NAIP to capture them, help Pcn to capture them. The other issue of here is the question that any MOU between Pcn and NIM, Nigerian Institute of Marketing. These are two different government agencies or parastatals, as the case may be. Wherever there is any interference in their work schedules, they have a way. There was a time Pcn, Consumer Protection Council, they have meetings to iron out their differences. I think this shouldn't be our headache. Pcn is a federal government regulatory authority. They know how to handle their different if there's any encroachment. There are best practices in the world we can adopt. Of course, our duty is to copy best international practice as much as possible, but practices that work for us. You know, we are a peculiar nation. We don't have to copy a practice for the sake of copying. We have our own inherent problem, different from problems you see in Europe, Asia. So we must adopt something at the end of the day that we promote pharmacy practice in Nigeria. That's very, very key to us, and we are going to try as much as possible to line. Then somebody raised the issue of permit that bear the name of the rep and the company. What happens when the rep moves to another company? I think Dr. Dan, or is it our BOT chairman, says something that looks more real for me. Automation by the council. You know, this is a new project. It's a new program we are entering into. As we go along, some challenges will be coming here and there, and I believe that Pcn, NAIP has what it takes to be very, very robust enough to respond to some of those challenges. I want to believe that, yes, we are going to start tying your certificate with the name of the company. But where is this thing? The company will alert Pcn that, or alert NAIP that this staff is no longer with us. So then there are things we can do so that Pcn can also update since the person has certification for 2 years. I believe that this can be sorted out with time. Then somebody raised the issue of business model. Do we have different companies have different models? Also, this is not actually the function of the Gazette to talk about. Every company, Tricare has their own business model. Mambeka has their own. Pfizer has their own. And that's why most of these companies, once you join, some companies even render like 1 month full training. Some will give you 2 weeks training. Some short course training like 3 days, but repeated every other cycle. When you join a particular company, you will go through their business model. It's just like you have to, how do you go about our business? Follow their pattern And so whenever you are not satisfied with that company, honest, costly demand that you just do the necessary by throwing the towel and join another company. But business model, honestly, should not be part of what we are discussing here today. Then sales consultants who are on contract for about 6 months or thereabout, are they part of? As I said before, whether you're on contract for 1 month or you're on contract on 2 months, we cannot have an exception to this rule if we are honestly going to make any way. So those people that are supposed to be captured, whether they are managers, whether they are sales consultants, whether it's for 6 months or for 1 year, they are part of this regulation. As far as honestly you are involved in the business of pharmaceutical sales and marketing in Nigeria, this gazette covers you, and you must find a way to cooperate. The other one is I have a question here on training of medical reps. We have also said a lot about. That's the responsibility of the pharmaceutical companies. Then I have eligibility or evidence of an employment that I think my immediate past chairman raised this issue that there should be a letter of employment to go with, which is, again, maybe that's a procedure. I know that Pcn has that in their pipeline. You don't just come and land anywhere. You must provide evidence that I'm working for Track. In the first place, even the naive company will furnish the names of all their medical ancestors to Pcn. And I don't think Pcn will just go straight into the deal without hearing from naive. It's going to be a very collaborative effort between naive and this. I quite agree that we have some independent marketers that they are not attached to any pharmaceutical company. They are on their own. They are doing what we may call freelance. Those people, we may capture them as a freelance and have a way to capture them as a freelance. And then, of course, the ACPN Lagos chairman, Ekato, which was also heavily supported by my immediate past chairman, supported the idea of companies paying. Of course, if I have 20 reps in my company, there's no way you expect me to allow them to go and they start spending their money. Tricare will take care of the payment of all these things in group. So I support the idea that, honestly, pharmaceutical companies should pay the necessary annual certification or retention fees for their staff. It's only those who are independent marketers that does not have a place that have to bother. And I don't think there's any pharmaceutical company in Nigeria that will object to paying this necessary statutory fee for their staff. I don't think so. So that idea, I think these are much I covered. The other one is like an advent, no moratorium. We have said this. We are not removing anything from the Gazette. We are only appealing to the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria through our amiable register to factor in the position where we are today and try to do so. Maybe give some timeline for, we may not call it a moratorium, pardon our terminology, but anything that gives room for the companies to go back and put things in proper perspective so that we don't cause much uproar in the society. That's what we are trying to say. But nothing in this Gazette, honestly, everything, as I said, is our brainchild. We move for it, and we got it right now, and we must make it to work. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm sure he has covered a lot of the questions that were asked. I just need to add one or two things. The issue of double registration for pharmacists doesn't arise. Your annual license to practice as a pharmacist is your individual license that makes your name to be retained in the book of registered pharmacists. That's a different thing entirely. And that is one of the major problems the University of Nigeria Nsukka was having when they said they are not using their license. As a result, they are not going to renew their license. And that counted against them as pharmacists when we went for reaccreditation. If you say you don't have annual license to practice, that means your name is not in the registry, in the registry of the Pharmaceutical Council of Nigeria. So in the process, they were not taken as pharmacists. They were just taken as lecturers, and that affected the rating of the university, and that's where they are having problems today. How can you be a lecturer, you don't renew your license? That means you are no longer a pharmacist, and then you are training pharmacists? That's very unethical. So the issue of annual license is person-specific. That makes you a pharmacist in Nigeria. That makes your name to be retained in the register. If you don't renew your annual license to practice, then you are not a practicing pharmacist in Nigeria. Therefore, by law, you cannot present yourself as a pharmacist. So registering getting permit for pharmaceutical representative is quite different from that of annual license to practice as a pharmacist. I just wanted to inform the ACPN chairman, but it's no longer here. This idea of knowing who owns a business is becoming a norm among pharmacists, most especially those who are involved in PIC activities. You are not to decide whether somebody owns a company. It's the legal document that is presented to you that gives credence to ownership of a company. If you see a young man opening a retail pharmacy, it's not you to decide where did you get money to open a retail pharmacy. It's not you to decide. It's the documents before you that can tell you whether it's who owns that company. And that's CAC document. And what is the CAC document telling you? Because by the time they take you to court, they have the document before the law. And that's what gives that company the legal status. So you can't just assume that, oh, because you just graduated 5 years ago, you don't have enough money. Who told you that? Somebody can take loans, somebody can get facilities from any other place. Please, let us not continue to go with that perception. Yes, training should be taken as MCPT point. We've noted that, and the PP will look into it. Sales consultant has been answered. Access to Gazette. The Gazette has been given to the chairman of NAIP. I'm sure he must have sent it across to all of us. So if you think you don't have the Gazette, if you go to our website, you will get it. If you don't know how to access it, please look for the nearest YPG, and he or she will help you to get it done. Best practice in other countries. Yes, we did not just wake up one night and come up with this document. There were a lot of inputs on this document. That does not mean we will not continue to look out for other best practices across the country. And as far as West Africa is concerned, we are ahead of a lot of them. Our online pharmacy, when we had a regional meeting with the various regulatory bodies, Nigeria is ahead of them. So we will definitely look out for best practices across the globe to see how we can integrate them. Salaries and welfare of pharmacists is in the purview of the companies. Deployment of new technology is also the purview of the companies. So the companies will know exactly what to do and what not to do. Tracking of resigned non-pharmacist rep, definitely it is the onus lies on the company to inform us if somebody leaves the company, because tactically the license is domiciled in the company. So when you resign, the permit is domiciled with the company. So it is expected that the company should inform us that this individual is no longer in the establishment, and then we'll take note of that. So whichever company he or she goes to, the other company will have to take up the responsibility of getting him or her the permit to do the needful. Entrepreneurship in our schools. The new curriculum of MD has captured that, and Council has also been advising faculties of pharmacy and pharmaceutical sciences to also look out for those in the private sector to come into their system, not necessarily full-time lecturers, adjuncts to share experiences and others. I know even some universities are calling some of my staff on issue of regulations and others. And I believe those who have done a lot in the private sector will also be contacted to share their experiences with these students as they go on with their studies. Yeah, foreign involvement. A foreign pharmacist a foreigner coming in as a pharmacist must first of all identify itself as a pharmacist and then get annual license to practice. But if the country of origin does not have the bilateral relationship with Nigeria as a pharmacist, he cannot be registered to practice in the country. That's a very big clause, so we should note that a foreign pharmacist cannot come to Nigeria to practice as a pharmacist except he is renewed. The only people we give short permit are those coming under the auspices of WHO, and they normally go through the honorable minister before such a short permit can give. But if you have your resident permit and you want to operate as a pharmacist in Nigeria, there must be a bilateral relationship between the two countries that allows pharmacists in Nigeria to also work in your own country. If there's nothing like that, you cannot work in Nigeria. I think that brings us to the end of the program. I want to thank you all for coming. We believe some of the lectures will be shared. And the YouTube, you can visit the YouTube and we'll see all of us there. And I wish you a happy weekend. Thank you and God bless you. He said he started with a prayer, and we have to close with a prayer. And I'm sure Levi is a reverend gentleman, and he's moved to pray for us. Can you pray for us and round up this thing? Is it not Levi? What is the difference? Is it not Livanus? Where is the other mic? Who is with the other mic? Give it to Ifeanyi.
In Jesus' name. Father Lord, we thank you for today. We bless your holy name for bringing us together to deliberate on the progress of this profession. We thank you for your wisdom and insight. We thank you, Ancient of Days, for gathering our ideas together and bringing it to a sound point where we can move forward as a profession, as a body. We pray, Father Lord, you continue to lead us, direct us, and show us the way to follow, that at the end of the day we may have cause to glorify your holy name. For in Jesus' mighty name we pray. Surely, goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our life, and we shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Thank you all.
There is going to be a communique, and they will pass it on through your chairman. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. I'm very grateful. Thank you, sir. Hold on, one second. Music, stop the music. Stop the music. Music. Stop the music. The AIT is recording, please. Okay. How are you? Long time. How's everything? Well done, eh? Yeah.
Where your daughter?
She's our daughter.
Yeah, how are you? White it out. How now? Nice. Well done.